Hey everybody, Matt here for Imagine Then Make. Thanks for stopping by. Well, this is part 8 of my series of videos teaching complete beginners how to program in Python. If you missed any of the earlier episodes, just check the video description for some links. All right, at the end of the last episode, we were working on version 5 of the Guess the Number game. Here's the source code right here on the left-hand side of the screen. In this episode, I want to make some simple changes, which I think improves the game significantly. And those changes are right here. That's what we're going to talk about in this episode. So what I thought we would do is add some more code to the game that keeps track of the number of guesses the player actually makes before guessing the correct number. So let's think about that for a second. How would we go about doing that? Well, if we take a very quick review about how the game works, right? We are creating a random number right here, and we're storing its value in r_num, and then we go down into a while loop. The expression for the while loop is always true, so every time we get to the while loop, it enters the while loop. Then the next thing that happens is the user is presented with a prompt to make a guess for the number. As soon as the user types in something, presses enter, whatever they typed in goes into the guess_num, and that's their guess. So at this point in the program right here, the user has made the first guess, assuming that's the first time through the while loop. So right after the guess is collected and stored in this variable, that would be a good time to increment a new variable, an additional variable, that keeps track of the number of guesses the user's made. So what I've created here is just another variable. I just called it guesses, keep it simple. And I created a little line of code right here that increments the value of guesses. And that code is guesses equals guesses plus 1. But let's remember that this equal sign is really an assignment operator, like we talked about in a previous episode. So how this line is actually executed by Python is it looks at the value of guesses, which initially is set to 0 right on this line before entering the while loop. So it takes the value of guesses and adds 1 to it. That new result now gets stored back in the same variable. So this line executes right to left. That can be a little confusing for new programmers. So let me just repeat. It may be a little confusing because here I've got the variable on one side of the assignment operator and the same variable on the other side of the assignment operator. So the thing to remember is whatever's on the right-hand side of the assignment operator gets evaluated, and whatever that gets evaluated to gets stored into the variable on the left-hand side of the assignment operator. And as you can see, you can use just one variable on both sides of the assignment operator, which is pretty convenient. Okay, so now the number of guesses has been incremented by 1. And then the only other piece of new code that I entered in here is that once the user guesses the correct number, then this code will get executed. It will only be executed like we talked about earlier episodes, right? This code only gets executed when the user or the player guesses the correct number. Otherwise, this code is always skipped, and it circles around and around and around and around in the while loop until either the user enters a lowercase q, right? We talked about that one earlier as well, or the user guesses the correct number. Assuming the user has guessed the correct number, then I've got another print statement, a new print statement here that says you needed some number of guesses, tries to guess the correct number. So that'll be displayed on the screen. And then I follow up with another blank line just to pretty up the display, and you'll see why that's important in a second. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to run it for you in a second, and hopefully it'll be even more clear. All right, let's give this a run and see what we get. Okay, so we've got our familiar print statements here, right here. And now it wants to guess the number, so it's down here sitting at the input statement. We're inside the while loop. So let's guess 50. That's too low. Let's guess 75. That's too low. Let's guess 88. That's too high. So let's guess 80. Oh, and congratulations, your guess is correct. You needed 4 tries to guess the correct number. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. My 4th guess was the correct number. So that looks like it works. And I think that that helps to add some fun to the game because you see how you did. And you'll see how this blank line I referred to a second ago, that's what gives you this blank line right here. So it just kind of pretties up the display a little bit. Let's try one more time, and we'll just check and make sure that the lowercase q still works to quit gracefully. So I'll guess 50. That's too low. I'll guess 95. That's too high. Okay, I decided I don't want to play anymore. So I type in a lowercase q, press enter, and there I am at a Python prompt, so I know it exited the while loop gracefully. Now I have one more idea that I want to put into the code. Let me show you. Just like down here when the user guesses the correct number and we display how many times it took to get to the correct number, I want to display something right after the user types in the lowercase q. I want to just display a line that says, "Thanks for playing the game." Okay, and so the place to put that line is right here after this if statement. If guess underscore num actually equals lowercase q, then run this code, and right now all I have is a break command. So let's put my insertion point right there and press enter. And so now I'm one line above break, and let's put a print okay, just a simple print statement that says thanks for playing. And then just like we did down here with a blank line, we'll do the same thing. Matter of fact, I could just type it. Okay, so now I've got thanks for playing and then a blank line right underneath that. So let's save this and then we'll run it. All right, let's go ahead and run version 6, latest version. Okay, so let's guess the number. We're inside the while loop. We'll guess 50, guess it's too low. I'll guess 75, guess it's too high. I'll guess 65, it's too low. I'll guess 70, it's too low. 73, too high. 72, too high. 71. Congratulations, your guess is correct. You needed 7 tries to guess the correct number. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's still working correctly. Let's go ahead and run this again. And we'll guess 99 this time. That's too high. I'll guess 1 this time. That's too low. I'll guess 98. That's too high. I'll guess 2. That's too low. Now let's go ahead and put in Q to quit. And then I get displayed on the screen, thanks for playing, and a blank line. So these 2 new lines of code right here are working just fine. So I think with those additions to the game, I think I've improved it. I hope you'll agree.